Hey there viewers, hey there Leon, welcome.
Hello, good morning.
Leon, a young man, 17 years old, wrote to me on Instagram.
That's right, I wrote to you because I wanted to show my passion, what I do. I also wanted to show my channel because I record something on the internet and I wanted to share it with your viewers.
Since we always use first names with viewers, Wojtek, it's very nice, let's not be formal here. Leon wrote to me because he's doing great things, especially from what I've seen on Instagram. Here I see there are beautiful boards behind us, and what are we going to make from such a board today?
From such boards I make these beautiful edge grain cutting boards, and that's exactly what we need to make today.
So a carpenter businessman because you also sell these boards?
Yes, I sell them and sales are great. I need to make more of these boards.
So today we'll make these boards, my friends, let's get to work. The workshop looks impressive, especially for someone that young and young at heart, and the work also looks great. So let's get started.
The worst and best time was before the holidays. I made 50 pieces in a week, but I was literally working 15 or 16 hours a day then.
So the material for one board is about 60 zlotys if you calculate it like that?
Sure, you could calculate it that way, more or less. We'll start with the jointer planer, likely the workshop's most important tool since we can't do anything without it.
Okay.
Moving on, here is the miter saw just for cross-cutting. Obviously it's useful too. Here are some clamps, as you can see. I use them for gluing wood. And all these boards. Moving on, all the power tools, some accessories, bits, drills and so on. Here everywhere are boxes with some screws, bolts.
Okay, and my dear viewers, for those of you who have been following the channel for over 7 years, you probably remember the can that used to be active. And we will activate it again this year. We will be putting money in here for the work done in every episode. Write a comment if you remember it, if you recognize it. It's a bit updated and newer now, refreshed. And what we will do with this money, you will find out at the end of this episode. But first, before we get to work, tell me, how did this passion for wood begin?
Well, it's hard to say exactly how it started because I was 8 years old when I began working on my first projects. My grandfather was a carpenter, and my uncle also practiced carpentry, so to speak. And I was so young that I don't really remember, but I was always drawn to it and I always liked doing it.
Okay, so at home there was always, let's say, a little planer, a saw, a hammer, and just...
I was always drawn to it somehow. There were always some tools around at first to try out and I liked it, so I started doing it. I kept doing it, building little houses in the woods, making bases like that, and later on some little tables and things like that. And at the age of 14 I had to choose a high school, so I went to a vocational school to learn to be a carpenter, and then I had 3 years of apprenticeship at a carpentry workshop. I finished school now and I have to take this seriously.
Okay, 17 years old and he is taking this seriously. Where do we start?
We start with those beautiful planks over there. We need to take them, cut them, and then move on to the next steps. We choose a plank. There are quite a few, but for cutting boards, whichever one we take will be good. You can take this one.
Okay. Where is this from? Did you bring it from the forest? Or how do you do it?
No. This is already dried lumber from a private person who buys this kind of wood from the forest, cuts it on a sawmill, and then dries it. Because obviously for cutting boards, it can't be wet.
What is the price of one such board?
I won't say for one, but a cubic meter or a cube of such wood that's first or second class oak is about 6,500, 7,000.
Okay, so that's 7,000 zlotys. Here, a cubic meter that...
Yes, that from a cubic meter you'll get about 80 to 100 boards.
So the material for one board is about 60 zlotys?
You can pretty much calculate it that way, more or less.
Where are we putting this? Here?
Yes, here. You can push it all the way to the end like this. And now we need to cut it, right? This edge, so I push it in, look for about the right line so I can cut it. And I just cut it, then I put it against the guide and cut again.
And we're cutting this into strips?
Into strips like the ones here. We need to retool this machine because right now it's set up as a thickness planer and we need to retool it as a jointer.
This one too?
Yes, but you have to be careful with that.
I don't know what to watch for or do or what could harm me.
Better not do it. All right. We set the guide and the machine is ready.
And what are we going to do with these beams that we've already cut?
These beams are clearly crooked after being cut, right? They're crooked, so if we wanted to glue them together, well, they're crooked, you can't glue them. And this machine is used simply to straighten them.
Okay, so it cuts off the excess?
It cuts off the excess, and simply if there's a bend or the board is crooked, it magically straightens it. Now we have this side and this side straightened, and later we'll do this one and that one too.
Okay, and you do that with every board?
With every board.
And why later, why not now? Because
The thickness planer gave us precise dimensions, but here we can't achieve that accuracy.
so for now we're sanding two sides.
We plane two sides, yes.
Okay, we plane. So I understand that you gained your practical knowledge about using all these machines and tools in vocational school, right?
In vocational school and also even before school, I already had some machines and taught myself. You can also obtain a lot of knowledge from the internet, you know, and I also learned on my own.
All right, learning is one thing, but where did you get all these machines from? Did you buy them yourself? Or some viewers might claim your dad, mom, or grandpa bought them and you just used them to make money. What was the reality?
That's the usual question. Where did you get the money for all this? During my 3-year apprenticeship, I earned money and bought these two machines, and as for the rest, of course, my parents helped a bit, but I think it's mostly my achievement, about 80%. And the rest of the machines I got from the jobs I did and so on. So you can make some money, right?
Okay, so your parents, well, obviously there's strength in parents because they supported you, probably gave you food, and that's
Yes, yes.
the value they provided. We cannot overlook it, but you just earned it, you know.
Yes, I earned it.
You're also aware that you earned money for those machines through some jobs. Okay, so you worked, you sold.
Yes, because you know, when you live with your parents, well, I was 15, 16, now I'm 17, you don't have other expenses, so everything I have had, I invested in these tools. And somehow I've already managed to collect quite a bit.
Great to hear that.
Now we've planned this side and that side. We need to retool this machine, and then we'll do the next two sides. You mentioned whether I went to a technical school or a vocational school. The problem is that in our area and across Poland, there are very few technical schools, especially woodworking ones, maybe only 3 or 4 nationwide, making it difficult.
But on the other hand, in a technical school, you would gain knowledge, I don't know, about material strength, but you wouldn't actually do anything with the wood. I myself went to an electronics technical school, and from experience, I know that you won't learn how to solder, weld, or screw things in technical school because those practical lessons are basically terrible, so...
That's exactly it, but if you already have some kind of plan for what you want to do, then a vocational school is probably ideal, right?
Yeah, learn the trade, make some extra money on the side, and then scale up the business later. Because it's also important not to stay stuck at the bottom.
To keep developing.
And soon do something cooler.
There is the need to develop. Now it's time to run all of this through the thickness planer. I'll feed it in from that side, you take it out, and always as it comes out, we lay it on the sawhorses the same way so we don't turn it over.
Okay.
Then I know what's what.
All right, all right.
We start the extractor in the machine. We take our boards, these two, all of them one by one, and we arrange them.
The other side, right? Because this...
Yes, yes, yes.
It's a huge amount of work and time to make one board like that, but eventually you start doing it in bulk.
Yes, you do it in bulk, always like that. Like now, let's say we have one glued board. I always make 10 pieces like that, let's say. But still, let's say from one glued board, you get about 1.5 boards. So really, people don't realize how much time it takes, right?
Okay, so of course, my dear friends, leave a thumbs up under this video and lots of comments for this young man because I'm really impressed that there are still people like him who are developing and doing things. It's amazing that at such a young age, someone can be so involved. You often write comments saying that I only visit big companies, show some corporations, big businesses. But if you write, just like Leon did, that you'd like to show your work, how long did it take me to reply? 15 minutes, I think.
Honestly, I didn't expect you to reply to me at all. And the response?
Well, I read all those messages, I read all the comments. It's not like I just upload a video and that's it. I reply. If someone is engaged, I even checked out your profile. Kędzierzyn Koźle is not far. We drove over with the cameraman. We film, show cool things, and also help develop businesses for people like that. I think after this video, you'll likely get an order or two for a board like that.
For sure.
At the end of the episode, you'll learn the board's cost, which I don't know yet and haven't asked about. Right now, I want to know how long it takes to make it to judge its value and if it's worth the money.
To know what's what?
Okay, what is this?
Later, because now I'm flipping them all, and when we flip them again,
Okay.
so we know their position. Simply,
All right.
we turn all of them except the last one. That's right, we leave the last one.
That's right.
We take some glue.
I'll handle the gluing. I couldn't use the saw since I'm not a journeyman. You are.
I'm a journeyman, yes.
I'm not, so I didn't touch that saw so I wouldn't cut my hands, but I can do the gluing.
You can do the gluing.
All right, let's say boards for gluing. I don't know. Did you come up with the idea to make boards, or did you see it somewhere on the internet, or what?
I made one board just for fun because I always wanted to make a board like that, you know, and I recorded a reel about it for Instagram and YouTube. And what then? It blew up everywhere, got crazy numbers, around 1 million, and unfortunately or fortunately, I put my email there so people could place orders, and now I have a lot of these boards to make.
How many orders came in after that reel?
In total, I think around 300.
300 orders?
300.
Have you already finished with that?
Yes, 300 orders, plus for some time now I haven't been taking any new ones at all because I just wouldn't be able to handle it.
And still, write. The email will probably be in the description, so click there, and after you leave a like, write to Leon.
You can write, but I'm telling you right away, the deadlines are for May or April.
Hey, stop it. The day is 24 hours. You're young, you can sleep 3 hours and get back to the boards.
Now 2 clamps from the top, so the glued board doesn't bend. The worst and the best time was before the holidays. I had to get it done, you know, before the holidays. Many people wanted boards for the holidays. I made 50 pieces in a week, but I was literally working 15, 16 hours a day, you know.
50 boards in a week?
Yes, yes.
As I said, in the end, we'll find out how much such a board costs, and then we'll know how much you can save when you're young.
Yes.
All right, so now we've applied the glue.
Yes.
How long does it take for it to fully dry?
At least an hour, that's the minimum. It's best if it sits for 2 hours or even longer. The longer the better. It will just stick together better that way.
The magic of television, my friends, the magic of the internet. An hour has passed. Of course, Leon got ready because we already have something here that's glued and dried. We're not cheating, we're not speeding up this footage. It's just drying while we work so we can show you what it looks like next.
I can say that in a typical process where I make about 20 of these boards, I have 10 glued pieces of this length.
Okay. So are we taking it apart?
We're taking it apart, that's right. Okay, now we'll take a chisel and you can clean off the glue on both sides. You clean it the same way. You clean it so you know.
Damn!
We'll be planing it there anyway. If there are, let's say, some sticking out parts, we'll put it into the machine, and that's why it gets planed unevenly, right?
Okay.
All right, now let's check if it's straight from this side, for example. Well, you can see it's a bit crooked, and from this side, well, from this side it's really crooked. Most often the glued board bends in one direction. It forms a kind of U, right? And it's always with this U, where both sides touch the table. We put it in the machine and it straightens itself out. And it's done. You can see it's nice and even on both sides, right? And now we move on to this machine again. For example, when it comes to this machine, it has different blades, right? This one, for example, just like we did before, is for cutting lumber. And it's for, well, thick boards, you could say, for cutting lengthwise. And now we're moving to a blade, you could say, a precision one for cross-cutting because we're going to cut across, right?
Amazing, viewers. And remember, we're doing all this so you can prepare a slice of bread on it, right? Oh, and by the way, viewers, if you're watching, because I often see that you watch my episodes on your TVs, on your big TVs in the living room, grab your phone and like this episode. I know it's hard to do on a TV, but we would really appreciate it if you leave a comment and a like under this video. Even if you're watching with your kids or anyone else on the TV, just click on this episode on your smartphone, give it a like it would be really great. A blade like that must be expensive, right?
This blade around 300 zlotys. You don't just buy one blade and keep it forever. Eventually it gets dull and you have to pay for sharpening again, which isn't cheap.
Alright, but I'm wondering because we only cut it for the design so it looks cool so the boards shimmer with those colors. Why don't we cut boards out of it?
No, not exactly, because the point is that this is an edge grain board, so we cut it this way because here we have the edge grain. Of course, we could make a board like that, but then it's not an edge grain board, just a regular board, It wears out faster. You can see all the knife cuts. It gets damaged more quickly.
It wears out?
Well, it just wears out, right?
Are we making an edge grain board?
Edge grain one.
And they're more durable, right?
Yes, they're more durable.
They're stronger than if we simply cut them.
Yes, okay, all right, we've got everything cut. As you can see from this glued board, we'd get 2 planks, because here, for example, this is already waste. You can see it, it'll just fall apart on its own. It can only go to the stove.
So do we glue it again?
We glue it again, we're going to glue it.
And here we mixed it already.
Yes, we mixed the patterns because as you saw here, everything is kind of from one glued piece and then the pattern would be the same and not everyone likes that, right?
So you had this prepared already?
I had this prepared earlier.
Yes, but we took one from that.
We took one from that, yes.
So we wait another hour, maybe 2 at most, for it to dry.
That's right.
Thanks to the internet, YouTube, and television, we're moving on to the boards that are already glued and dried. There are really a lot of them here. They're waiting for the next steps, for shipping, for finishing, so we pick one of them and move on to the next stage. It looks great. What's next?
What's next? Now we take it to the saw again and we need to cut all 4 edges, right? You get a right angle and just format it.
The penultimate stage of our work.
Now we're going to mill some hand grips. For that we use a template like this. We'll put it on now.
And in the comments, dear viewers, you can write how many stages you counted that were put into making this board. This is still the second to last because the last one will be oiling it, right?
We still need to sand it.
We still need to sand and oil it. So at the end, watch this material and then write how many stages of work on the cutting board you have counted.
Not bad at all, I have to say, for the first time.
Well, I haven't milled yet.
You take the miller, turn it on, and you always move it to the right. So if you put your thumb on it, you go this way.
This way, okay.
So like this.
All right.
The milling stage is behind us.
And if we wanted something like that, maybe a groove here, for example, or something around it.
You do that with this machine too. You just change the bit and you need to make some kind of template around it so the machine has something to follow, right?
Okay. And now we sand it, right?
We start with P40 grit, which is a coarse sandpaper, right? And we just go over this surface and the other one, not too fast, not too slow. Turn it on and once clicked, it works. All right, we have a board that's already sanded.
It's beautiful.
Look, judge for yourself. You sand it by yourself.
What do we have poured in here?
Paraffin oil, 100% pure pharmaceutical grade. It has no smell. It's safe for food.
Amazing, amazing.
It gets this kind of color.
Okay.
I always leave one side for 5 minutes, the other side for 5 minutes, and then I take it out. It absorbs what it needs to absorb, and then I mat it. Once again with sandpaper, for example, P600 or P800. Just very lightly, and then into the oil it goes once more.
Okay, and then it dries.
Yes.
How long does it take to dry?
2-3 hours, 4, it varies, it depends on the board.
Okay, so I won't be taking this board with me today, but I'll buy one from Leon to support this business. I'll buy one of the boards that was already made here earlier, which was also waiting here for us. We already have this board, the one you saw earlier. It's ready, and I'll buy it in a moment. Question for you, what's the value of this board? How much does it cost to buy?
Normally I sell such boards for 277 zlotys, including shipping.
Okay, with shipping it's 277 zlotys.
Yes.
Earlier in this material, you also heard how much the materials cost. You know how much work we put into it. Calculate all these stages and be sure to write a comment. For me, it's cool because this is a piece that really has soul, so I'm taking it with me. All right, but the small change.
But don't forget about the DuroBotti can.
Yeah, the can's back in action, just like I said.
That's right. We put the money in the can, right?
I don't know if that's what you think. I paid you for the job, so you're saying I did it myself?
Not sure if the money will fit. We'll see. Let's check.
All right. Okay.
That's for your work?
So the board was made by me.
That's right.
The money was put into the can, and I'll briefly tell you what will be done with this can over the next year. This money will be reinvested with you, dear viewers, through live streams which often happen on my Do Roboty related Instagram channel on Kaczmarczyk. And the money that will go into the can from different episodes from different jobs, we will manage together with you during the live streams. We will simply invest it somehow, multiply it, do something with it, and create something cool. I won't reveal what's next yet, but watch the Do Roboty channel, subscribe, and join the live streams. Exciting things are coming. In the meantime, Leon, thank you very much.
Thank you as well.
All the links and Leon's email are in the description. Buy these boards for yourselves, whether they arrive in April or March. It would be great to have something like this in your kitchen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your hospitality. It's great that you wrote. You viewers should write too. The email is here. It's displayed here and also in the description. bewiaspolpraka@doroboty.tv. And we move on, supporting cool businesses.
That's right.
And follow the channel because we're going to do some really cool things with this can. This is Wojtek Kaczmarczyk. I'm really glad you made it to the very end. Thank you for watching this video, and I encourage you to check out more videos on the Do Roboty channel. Click on the next video and see what interesting things I've recorded there.